My name's Chris Evans. I teach history at the University of South Wales, and I've a long-standing interest in Atlantic slavery and in the links between Welsh industry and Atlantic slavery. A lot of people understand that Wales has a woolens industry. What a lot of people don't understand is that the woolen industry of Montgomeryshire and Merionethshire in the 18th century was intimately linked with the working of the Atlantic slave system. Welsh Plains or Welsh webs were coarse woolens produced in rural cottages, households that were exported to the Caribbean and to the American South, and they were used to clothe enslaved workers there, and therefore they were known for good reason as Negro Cloth. Wales is a place that doesn't have a major port in the 18th century, and therefore it's not like England that has Liverpool or has Bristol, has London, which were major ports servicing the Atlantic slave trade. But for all that, Wales has important industries that play an important role within the Atlantic slave trade system. For instance, the copper industry of the Swansea district was something that produced utensils for the sugar industry. Sugar in the Caribbean is made in pans that are called, for very good reason, coppers. So copper, Welsh copper, is an important part of that whole production complex. Equally, the copper industry of the Swansea district produced items in copper and brass that were destined for West Africa, where they acted as currencies in the Atlantic slave trade. So industries that on the face of it have little connection to the Atlantic world of enslavement, in fact, once you scratch away at them, do. I think in the current context, it's important that we start to realise that the links between ourselves and the slave past is more than a matter of statues. It's more than a matter of particularly reprehensible individuals like Colston in Bristol, whose statue thankfully is now gone. It's a question of deeper links that connect the history of Atlantic slavery, not just to major ports that were notorious for their role, like Bristol, like Liverpool, but links us to perhaps forgotten places where the linkages are not so obvious. The case of Mid Wales is one of those. What is now revered as a kind of authentically Welsh place that's isolated, rural, remote, was in fact somewhere that was linked to the Atlantic slave system. And the economy of that region in the 18th century was to a large extent driven by Atlantic slavery.